Hello and welcome to the very second Incandescent podcast. I'm Nathan Evans, and for this month's salon in your sitting room, I am joined by the other and better half of Incandescent.
He always says that.
Justin David.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Justin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. So, I thought we'd begin again this week with something from our first book, Threads, which was...
yes, lovely.
It was a collaboration between us. Justin gave
lovely
each
memories
of the poems a bespoke photographic setting, and this one we shot in a tattoo parlour.
So we did with Lucy
Pryor. At Into You, sadly.
Sadly, that's gone.
No
Alex
longer
Benny's
there.
shop in Clerkenwell.
It was indeed in Clerkenwell, though here the poem is set to music in a recording made for the e-book. This is Bloody Valentine. February 14th. Exterior florists. Supplicants stake the block for a share of sanctioned love. Without dirt, without root, that'll be dead in a week. Love is more bindweed than roses, growing from groin to gut, then up, heart, throat, malignant, to wrap and wrap itself inside your thoughts, and however much you tear it down, there's always a tendril or a bloody stain. However much you tear it up, there's always a root and another bloody shoot. So February is not exclusively the domain of Saint Valentine. It is, of course, also LGBT History Month, and Incandescent have already been up to Leeds this month.
Oh, I forgot about that, Nathan. How did that go?
It was great. We did this panel in the library. There was me there. There was Jack from Cypher Press and Ray from the Bookish Type, the queer bookshop.
Tell me about the bookshop.
Well, it's basically like finding queer Narnia in the back of a 1980s shopping centre. It's fabulous. So this next poem is also about our queer heritage. It's one of my favourites, and I was thrilled when John McCullough read it for us at Bold back in 2021.
This next poem, I grew up in Watford, which nowadays I live in Brighton. I've been in Brighton for about 20 years now, but my origins and the community I grew up in was not particularly friendly to me as a queer person. And a lot of this book, it covers homophobia and not fitting in. And for a while, I've still got them at home actually, I collected counterfeit coins because for me, I don't know, I just identified with them. They were kind of undercover and they were in circulation, but they're a bit different. And this poem concerns one of those. Queer coal. You tumbled into my palm in a trickle of sterling. Bad coin. Foul queen, though I didn't notice. I pocketed you, conveyed you like your sedan chair, respectfully slotted you into vending machines that coughed you out. You winked at me from a change tray, and abruptly I spotted everything about you was wrong. Your weight, your ill-defined edge, your obverse skewed. Not copper, zinc, nickel, but lead sprayed with gold paint. Too shiny. Queer coal, they used to say, meaning counterfeit or base money. What ends up improperly beside your person, tilting the system, forcing each wall, mutilating the weather. Fucking queer, a voice in the Watford crowd snarled as my lips brushed Ryan's cheek. There I was, my mouth mimicking legit. My hoodie, cap, trackies, like a man's, but on close inspection, awry. My voice too light, edges blurred, flickery. I carry this awareness in my blood. How simply I'm revealed as undermining the currency, warping the ceiling. Now, coin, I keep you squirreled in my wallet's secret section. You are my talisman. Return me to what I am. No pink pound, but queer coal. Rebel head, wonky origin. Dangerous minting.
That was John McCullough reading Queer Coal from his Hawthorned and prize-winning collection, Reckless Paper Birds. Now, February is sadly also the anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Oh dear.
So this is something by a queer Ukrainian poet past I performed at our queer poetry soiree at around this time last year.
So the poet I'm going to read is Lesia Ukrainka. She was born in 1871 in Ukraine, died age 42 of tuberculosis. She was a lesbian, a feminist, a fierce Ukrainian independence activist. She wrote in the Ukrainian language which the Russians insisted did not exist. The poem is called Contraspem Sparrow, which isn't Ukrainian. My third form Latin has finally come in useful. And I can tell you it means against hope, I hope. Away dark thoughts, you autumn clouds, a golden spring is here. Should it be thus in sorrow and in lamentation that all my youthful days should pass away? No. Despite my tears, I still shall laugh. Sing songs despite my troubles. Have hope against all odds. Away, you sorrowful thoughts. I want to live. On this poor indigent ground I shall sow flowers of flowing colours. I shall sow flowers even amidst the frolicsome water them with my bitter tears. And from those burning tears shall melt the frozen crust so hard and strong. Perhaps my flowers will bloom and bring about for me a joyful spring. Unto a winding, flinty mountain shall I bear my weighty stone, yet even bearing such a crushing weight will I sing a joyful song. Throughout a night of lasting darkness, ne'er shall I rest my own eyes, always seeking a guiding star, the bright empress of dark night skies. I shall not allow my heart to fall asleep, though gloom and misery envelop me, despite my certain feelings that death is beating at my breast. Death will settle heavily upon that breast, the snow covered by a cruel haze. But fierce shall beat my little heart, and maybe with its ferocity shall overcome death. Yes, I'll laugh despite my tears. I'll sing out songs amidst my misfortunes. I'll have hope against all odds. I will live. Away, you sorrowful thoughts. Thank you.
That was a recording from Above the Stag Theatre, who are back.
Fantastic. It's really great news. I've missed them such a lot.
They're back in London's glittering West End. What's the venue called?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Great name. So they're going to be back. They've got a special Eurovision show and their annual pantomime. And Bold also is back.
But not at Above the Stag.
Not at Above the Stag, but at the Betsy Trotwood on March 30th. And we have Kostya Salakis and Lisa Lux and our very first open mic.
This is exciting. Now, tell me how that's going to work, Nathan.
Well, in order to sign up, you need to be a queer poet who hasn't performed at Bold before.
Okay.
And there are tickets on our website. So there are full price tickets, general admission £10, and there are half price tickets of £5.
Oh, for the people who want to
sign up for the open mic. So for a £5 they get to hear Lisa Lux and Kostya Salakis.
Bargain.
And they get their name thrown into the hat for the open mic.
And how many names will you be pulling out of said hat?
Up to 10.
Okay.
And they have up to 3 minutes each. And our glamorous publishing assistant Petronella Carter is going to be running everything.
So what happens if they run over their 3 minutes? Will people be throwing tomatoes?
No. What we're going to do is we're going to arm Petronella with a glockenspiel.
Okay. Does she know about this?
She knows that she's running the open mic. We haven't told her about the glockenspiel yet, but I think it's all going to be a bit Ruth Maddox, Heidi High.
Hello, campers.
I'm sure that Petronella knows just how to work a glockenspiel. And I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone's poems.
Me too.
So, now, do you remember back in November? Remember November. We did the event for Queer Arts, right? And
oh yeah, it was fantastic. I really had a lovely time.
Yeah, it was a really, really wonderful evening. And Julia Bell read for us some poems from her new collection. It's actually her first collection.
She read so well, and she always reads so well, but it went down very, very well. I got lots of great feedback from that night for Julia. Yeah.
So she's written novels, non-fiction books, but this is her first poetry collection. It's called Hymnal,
fantastic.
And it's out with Parthian Books in April. It's available now to pre-order from their website.
Go and buy your copy.
Yep. And to celebrate that, we are going to hear Julia reading not poetry but prose.
The Birdwatchers.
Oh, I
love this story.
Her short story in our mainstream anthology, read again at Above the Stag Theatre back in 2021.
This is my contribution. It's a story I wrote during lockdown. It's a neighbour story about neighbours, unsurprisingly then, although it's not about the pandemic itself, actually, and it's called The Birdwatchers. And I'm just going to read the beginning. After sex, warm and stretched and feeling alive again, they took their breakfast in the garden. Elise and her partner Mira often enjoyed sunny summer mornings on the deck that faced onto the small private garden of their apartment. A plot that Elise had gently tended over many years, overhung with fragrant jasmine and clematis. Consequently, they never took much notice of the neighbours. On one side was a Turkish couple who mostly used the garden for laundry or barbecuing kebab, and given that they couldn't understand what they were saying, it was easy to phase out the music of their voices. On the other side, the ground floor flat had been empty for months, the collateral in a messy divorce, and the garden was overgrown, brambles and nettles creeping under the fence. So it was a surprise then, as they sat with their sweet tea, naked under their thin robes, ready like cats to enjoy their coiled moment of satisfaction, to hear the sound of voices on the other side of the fence. Speaking English, she caught a word or two, popular, contract, and then the loud drawl of the estate agent. Of course, the garden could do with a little work, but it's a blank canvas. Mira raised her eyebrows and shifted in her seat. Something about the loudness and the proximity intruded on their privacy, and somehow the relaxing moment was lost, causing Elise an irritation that lasted most of the day. A few days later, when taking out the rubbish, Elise saw a large white removal van parked in the street outside. She lingered at the gate in case she could glimpse whoever was moving. Over the low dividing wall, she could see the front window next door, and as she turned to go back indoors, she thought she caught the flicker of movement, the blur of the drop of a curtain, a ripple of fabric. She shivered and nodded in the direction of the movement, feeling a bit stupid for being caught at the gate being nosy. Over the course of the next few days, where there had once been silence, there was suddenly the noise of people living, thumps of furniture being moved, muffled laughter. Elise noticed it at first, and then it sank into the background, and she didn't think about next door again until the weekend, which was Mira's birthday. The weather was warm and sunny, so after a lazy few hours in bed, Elise got up and laid out the table in the garden for brunch, while Mira took a shower. She carefully arranged the table with a vase of freshly cut flowers from the garden, presents in an artful pile. She took a photo and posted it to Instagram, wishing her beloved a happy birthday so everyone could see #blessed. Everything was so pretty and so perfect, she concluded, spooning coffee into the cafetiere. When Mira came out of the shower, she took a photo of her too. Not so early, God, you're obsessed with Instagram. I'm just happy, that's all. Mira sucked her teeth and turned her attention to the pile of presents. What the hell's this? Mira held up a long box, which had been delivered by UPS a few days earlier. I've no idea. Sanchez sent it, I think. Mira's cousin worked in Silicon Valley and every now and then would send them expensive new technology. At Christmas, it was an Apple Watch. Before that, a Fitbit. After taking them out of the box and playing with them for a bit, the novelty usually wore off and they lay abandoned around the apartment. Oh, God, Mira groaned. It's one of those voice-controlled things. Alexa, Elise recognised it. Why are digital assistants always women? Mira tutted and opened the box. Sanjay does this to me on purpose. He thinks I'm frightened of technology, so he sends me these things to make me deal with it. I'm not frightened of it. I just don't like it. There's a difference. But they amused themselves nonetheless, plugging in the speaker and trying to get it to work. Alexa, play Björk, Mira said. I'm sorry, I don't understand, the disembodied voice echoed across the garden. She repeated the instructions to the same response. She doesn't understand my accent. She's racist. No, it's how you pronounce Björk. It's not supposed to sound like you just puked. Oh, whatever, Björk, Mira tutted and waved Elise away. Alexa, what's your favourite sexual position? She said a bit louder. Sorry, I didn't understand that. She's a virgin, Mira giggled, sipping her coffee. Exactly at that moment, a loud sneeze from the other side of the fence made them both jump. Shit, Mira covered her mouth. Alexa, play some jazz, Elise said, and quickly the sound of Miles Davis covered their blushes. But they sat there for a few seconds without speaking, a little disconcerted. The sneezing was followed by rustling, then the sound of vigorous scraping and scratching, the crisp ring of metal against stone. Whoever was next door was doing the garden. Close to the house, the fence was high and overgrown with climbers, so it was impossible to see who was on the other side. But the panels towards the end of the garden were lower and topped with trellis, which meant it was perfectly possible to look through into next door. Elise resisted the temptation to go to the bottom of the garden to look. Over the following weeks, Elise continued her work at a busy family law firm, Mira teaching her undergraduate classes and writing poetry. The weather was unseasonably rainy, so they didn't spend much time in the garden. But Elise noticed that bags of garden clippings accumulating by next door's front gate, bramble stems snaking out of the top of the bags. Also, there were suddenly a lot more birds in the back garden. First, the small birds, the sparrows, the blue tits, the blackbirds, then the bigger, louder birds, magpies, crows, some moronic pigeons, and a couple of screechy parrots, all lined up along the fence, taking an interest in the garden next door. Then one morning a flock of starlings descended on the gardens in a screeching cloud, distracting them from their breakfast. Ew, what the hell? Elise stood up and clapped her hands to try and startle the birds. She didn't mind a variety, but she minded the flocks. There was something pestilent about so many of them, fluttering together all at once over the garden. So much movement made the air turbid and hyperactive. She went to the end of the garden and peered over the fence. She saw that the garden next door was indeed cleared, and that a bird food station had been rigged in the centre of the lawn. It looked industrial, cages of peanuts and fat balls hanging off its branches like the parts of an infernal machine. Maybe I should have a word, Elise said. It looks like an aviary over there. And say what? I'm sorry, but you can't feed the birds. But it's not healthy, all that bird shit. Mira shook her head. At home we have a saying, you should not have an argument with a crocodile if you're living in the water. You think they're crocodiles? Mira shrugged. Well, we don't know, do we? It's London. What do we know about our neighbours? Thank you.
That was Julia Bell reading from her story The Bird Watchers. And we're going to end, as we began, with words and music fusion. This is Window Boxed from my second collection, Canute, performed with violinist Kate Conway.
One March morning, I find my prospect clad in scaffolding, scrim, and a corrugated ceiling that techno pounds in rain. It's only for a week, I think, until they fix that leak. April, green tendrils coil the sill, still no sun to spring to. May, envious envoys are posted to the corners of the compass. June, again determines from letting agents. July, a phototropical tangle, unrecognizable. August, my neighbour, leak still not fixed, says she's using a food bank. She's worried for her kid, drawn up like this.
And this is our last podcast until April, but do please come join us at Bold in March. Now, February's a short month, and this is a short podcast, so we're going to play out with an anthem that was written for us for the launch of our mainstream anthology.
Oh, Nathan, you didn't tell me you were going to do this. That's fantastic. I love this piece of music.
Why didn't you tell us about it?
Oh, well, you said it's by the Memory Flowers.
A.k.a. Andrew M. Pisani.
It's called Permission, and it just embodies everything that Incandescent is about. Not waiting for a seat at their table, not waiting for anyone's permission. Makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end.
We'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Tell me your stories, let them exist. Turn off the spotlight for a single minute. I'm angry and I am not sorry. Tell me your stories, show me your worth. I am the antimatter strangled at birth. I'm angry and I am not sorry, 'cause I'm in the dark for most of it.